Hello, good morning, happy Wednesday. Welcome into the OnlyBets Sports Podcast with Drew DeLuke, Eastern Bets. I'm the Prince of Picks. Got a great show lined up for you guys today. It is Wednesday. You guys know what that means. Liberati Wednesdays. We're going to be joined by former PGA Tour contributor, Mr. Brian Liberati. He'll be coming on, giving his best bets for the golf tournament coming up here, the BMW Championship coming up over the next several days. So, really excited to hear what he has in store for us. He's been on an amazing run. I believe it was a 13-2 run in his matchup play so far, and he's just been absolutely crushing it in the golf world. So, the best golf capper on planet Earth is Mr. Brian Liberati. I'm sure he won't mind me putting that pressure on him. But in any case, here, really excited to hear what he has in store for us. Of course, we've got the major leagues as well. We've got soccer. We've got MLS, full 15-game slate in the Major League Soccer action tonight. We'll definitely have a couple plays for that. We do have Champions League qualification as well. We've got WNBA in action. We've got Formula One racing that we'll be covering here shortly as well. Our main man, Mr. Addison, might be jumping on and giving us some best bets for the Formula One racing happening this weekend in the Netherlands, I believe. So a lot of sports here to cover. We'll see if we can get some college football analysis in here towards the end of the show with our college football expert, Mr. Drew DeLuke. So an action-packed show lineup for you guys today. Tons of sports to cover. But let's not waste any more time. Let me go ahead and bring in Mr. Stern Betts. Mr. Mosh, good morning. Happy Wednesday. How you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Could be better. Had back-to-back losing days, but looking to get back on track today. Very rare that I have back-to-back losing days like I just did. So yeah, looking forward to a nice little bounce back. It was really my bad, I guess. I mentioned it twice on the show. Braves on the roads. Their offense is just terrible. That was really, you know what? Shout out to Zebby Matthews for finally putting it all together for the first time this season. Definitely going to be fading him probably. I guess not definitely, but looking probably to fade him depending on the matchup coming up. But you know what? It happens. Everybody runs through the ruts. Let's get back onto it. How was your plays yesterday? And then we'll get into the BMW Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. My plays, so-so. Our Champions League, we had a score goal parlay. Probably went one too many legs. We've talked about it before. Two legs should be the max if you're going to do a parlay. Three legs gets a little iffy. And it was the third leg that burned us. We had Dinamo Zagreb to score. They did. We had Lyon to score. They did. We also had AEK Athens to score, and they came in at 0-0, 0-0 tie. So unfortunately, we missed on that parlay just by one leg. We also missed on the New York Liberty, -3.5. They lost outright to the Chicago Sky. I am done with the Liberty. I am not going to be betting on the Liberty anymore this season. This team is way too inconsistent. That was a must-win game for them, and they laid an absolute egg against a team that is really going in the opposite direction. So I'm out on the Liberty. We missed on that one, but we did hit on Fever Tempo over 191.5. That one hit about 195, 196. So cleared that one, and let's see what we got for today.
Excited to get into it. Bounce back all around. All right, Brian. Welcome in, buddy. We had Scotty Scheffler to win last week. He didn't just win, he dominated. I think it was a -9 round second on Friday or Saturday, I forget, but absolute domination. Never a doubt after the second round. Please fill us in from the, your recap of last week and bring us into this week, the BMW Championship, where it all goes down.
Well, good morning, Motion Prince, and everybody else. First, I just want to thank you for your kind words. You guys have been great. I appreciate you letting me come on here and everything. It was a good week overall. I mean, I was 5-1 in my round matchups. Of course, I had Scotty. I told everybody I was all in on him. I know it was only plus 460, but anytime I get him at that, I will take it. I missed my top 20, Ricky Fowler, and top 30 with Corey Connors. The last couple holes, they blew it. But overall, again, a very good week.
Yeah, didn't necessarily hit on DFS like I did the other day where I came in third or fourth, but didn't do so bad. Looking forward to trying to get into DFS for this weekend specifically, just because there's only a field of 50, right? You know what? Why don't you break us down? Break us down what the tournament is, where we're at. No longer do we have the strokes added depending on your finishing position in the season. What are we looking at this week?
Yeah, that's correct, Motion. Now you just play the game as it's supposed to be played. And as you said, there are 50 players this week. After Sunday, there will be 30 players to go next week to Eastlake and Atlanta for the Tour Championship. So again, there's no cut this week. So the prices are not the best this week. You know, I was trying to look for value overall because such a small field, and again with no cut going on. But it's like you're talking about, it's the BMW Championship. It's at Belle Country Club, just outside of St. Louis. It's probably going to be hot and muggy again. Maybe not quite as bad as Memphis last week, but I'm sure it's going to be warm. It's kind of crazy. It's a par 70 course, the fourth tournament in a row, par 70. It's 7,448 yards. So it's a big course for a par 70 course. Now, they did redo the greens 2 years ago, all of them. They reshaped them. In fact, they're huge greens. They're like 8,000 square feet. They're some of the biggest on tour. The only thing is, just because they're big, it's almost like you can cut them into like 4 quadrants each green. So you really need to be on the right spot on the green to have a good putt, because they do have a lot of undulations. They added a lot more hills to the greens when they redid them. There should be rolling at like 12.5 on the step meter, which is not the fastest. I would say average on tour. So they shouldn't be anything crazy. The bunkering, they only have 72 bunkers, but they're deep and they're large. So you'll see like off out of the fairway, on sometimes the guys aren't not going to be able to reach the green out of the fairway bunker. Around the green, it's probably going to cost guys a half a shot, just the way these bunkers are designed. Like I said, they're deep, they're really big. They really, really are. Rough is about 4 inches right now. It's very thick. It's a combination of fescue and bluegrass, so the ball has a tendency to just sit down in it. And what's going to happen too, a lot of times guys are not going to be able to run the ball up into the green like they were the last couple of weeks, because most of the greens here at Belle are up. They're raised slightly. So I don't think guys are going to be able to chase the ball up to the green at times. So short game's going to be very, very important this week also. There's, I think, 6 dog legs. 5 of them go right to left. So for right-hander, it'd be a little draw. And there's one that goes left to right. It's number 17, the par 5. I believe it's like 624 yards. So having somebody be able to draw the ball, or I should say Akshay Bhatia, even though he's a left-hander, 70% of his drives are right to left also. He's a fader of the ball. So I think big bombers are going to do well this week, because some of them are going to be able to carry the fairway bunkers. You know, so that's going to be a benefit this week. Fairways are fairly generous too. They're between 30 and 38 yards wide. So it's not quite as tight as what we've seen the last couple of weeks. And there's also water on 11 holes. So we could see a decent amount of balls going into the hazards this week also. Now, I know it's going to be kind of boring, but I have as winner Scotty at plus 305. I know. I had him last week. But I mean, when you have somebody who's played 18 tournaments, 12 top 4s, 2 wins, 5 seconds, I mean, it's just crazy. How can I go against him? I do also have a winner without Scotty. I have Xander Schauffele. He's at plus 1375. He's driving the ball better than he has all year. Last 12 out of 13 tournaments, he's gained strokes off the tee. His approach play, he's gained 12 out of 12 of the last 15. He's gained strokes, and his putting seems to be his best ever the last 2 or 3 tournaments. So I really think this is a good course for him, because he does hit the ball far. He doesn't look like it with his size, but he pounds the ball. I have a top 20 in ties. And again, try to use that in ties like I keep talking about. I have Jake Knapp at minus 110. His driving and approach play are solid lately. He hits it long. He looks so slow when he swings, but boy, the ball jumps off his club face. His putting last week is what held him back. He finished tied 7th, but he lost over 2 strokes putting, and he's normally a fantastic putter. And I believe getting back onto bent grass greens this week is going to help him a lot. I really do. So I expect him to do well this week. Now, I got a couple, I guess I can call them fun plays. I've got a top 20 in ties parlay. I have a Hideki Matsuyama and Michael Thor Bjornsson at plus 210. I know I keep talking about Hideki the last few weeks, but man, he's doing well. Last 5 tournaments, he's gaining strokes driving. His approach play is fabulous. He's putting well lately, and he's probably got besides Scott, he's got the best short game on tour. So I expect another great week from him. Michael Thor Bjornsson. Now, of course, he won the Rocket a couple of weeks ago. Now, last week, if you paid attention to him at all, he shot 65 in the first round. Then he went, I think, 75, 72, 72. The reason is he was sick. He almost didn't play even on Thursday. So I could hear him in his press conference. He was very congested. I don't know if it was sinus infection or upper respiratory. So I believe he's going to be healthy this week because he drives the ball long and straight. His approach play, best all year. He's putting better than he ever has, and his short game is finally catching up to the rest of his game. So I like that together. And then I do have another kind of fun play, a top 20 and 30s parlay. I have Justin Rose and Alex Noren at plus 141. Justin Rose, I know he didn't play well last week until the 4th round. He shot 6 under the last day, which was the best round of the tournament. I think he was rusty, kind of like Rory was, because he hadn't played in 3 weeks since the Open. So, I mean, his approach play was good. His putting was good. So I expect him to do well. He gets up for these big events. And then if you don't know a lot about Alex Noren, check his history because he plays really well on tougher courses. The harder the course, the better he plays. In fact, his last 3 events, he finished T18, T7, T3. So I like him. I mean, he's a good putter also, really, really strong. And then for tomorrow, I've got 2 matchups, 2-ball matchups. I have Michael Brennan over Eric Cole at minus 142. They tee off at 12:18 p.m. And then I have Ricky Fowler over Robert McIntyre at minus 122. They tee off at 109. Now, those tee times I gave you are Eastern Standard Time, but remember they're playing in St. Louis, so it's Central Time. And so those are what I'm looking at this week.
I absolutely love it. I mean, how do you not back Scotty Scheffler after the week he just came off of? I want to talk about or ask a question about Rory McIlroy a little bit, but before we get there, you mentioned bombers off the tee can somehow kind of finagle this course just a little bit easier than the last 2 weeks, and that putting's really important. How has Rory bounced back from just an absolute disaster of a weekend?
That's a great question, Moshe. I could tell. I mean, just watching his swing, his timing was off a little bit. He wasn't horrible. I mean, it looked horrible as results, but he was just off. And I know he's got his swing coach with him this week, so I'm sure Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday they've been working together. I don't know. I don't think he'll win. I think he'll do better this week. I'm gonna say maybe top 15 would be my guess for Rory.
Sorry, couldn't find that mute button. That makes sense to me. All right, so maybe add him to the parlays, and you can use that boost over on DK. But just a thought. I don't know if the juice is worth it, but it's definitely a thought that I have. I wanted to get your opinion also on Sam Burns, who seems to have come on lately. I've been really impressed with what he brought to the table last week. Is this another type of course where he could be successful, or is this negative regression incoming?
No, I mean he's played fabulous almost all year, really. My only concern with him, as you probably noticed, is Sunday. His Sunday rounds have not been good. That's what happened this past week, 2 weeks before, in the U.S. Open. The same thing on Sunday. I mean, this course fits him. I'm just a little worried about his Sunday results, kind of like Scotty earlier in the year on his Thursday results.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. It was a little disappointing. I had him in DFS, and I was waiting for that final push, and he did not Did not come through. Love your plan, Xander Schauffele, by the way. Two players that we talked about last week that I also want to touch base on, Tommy Fleetwood and Wyndham Clark. Any chance that they're going to do well this weekend? And then I have one more golfer to ask you about before we move on from my questionnaire.
No problem. Tommy, I mean, he played good, but if you noticed on the weekend, he was almost stuck in neutral. He'd go to 7 under, back to 6. He'd go up to 8 under, back to 6. I mean, he just couldn't get a roll going. I mean, this course should fit him fine, but to me, he's just a fraction off. I mean, just not quite there. I mean, I'm sure he's going to do fine, but I just don't know. I mean, I could see him top 10, top 20, of course, but I don't think he's going to contend this week. And I'm sorry, you said one other player.
It was Clark and Fleetwood. Those are the two players that I kind of threw at you.
Sorry. Clark, he played pretty good last week, but he was kind of like Tommy. He'd go in spells where he'd go for a couple holes good, then he kind of went down, then he kind of went back up, then he went down. My only concern with him is every once in a while he can get a little squirrely off the tee. And there's a lot of dog legs, like I said, going right to left, and he's mainly a left to right player. So although I should say this, and I forgot to say this in my preview earlier, they've had rain lately, and they're supposed to get more rain today. So the fairways, truthfully, are probably going to play wider than normal because the ball's not going to run out as far. Clark, I think he'll do okay. I could see him sneaking into the top 10.
Okay, interesting. Might be a sneaky DFS play. All right, the last person that I really wanted to get to, and this is person that I targeted last week extensively, and he did not come through. And I'm just wondering if it was the course, if it was just preparedness, or maybe he just wasn't really ready. But Colin Morikawa was really coming up strong in the weeks leading up to the playoffs here. And he just fell off the table in the middle last week. Is this something that we should be concerned about, or can we expect a nice little bounce back on his end?
Well, as you probably know, he hadn't played in I think it was about 3 weeks since he opened. So to me, he looked rusty. His approach play was not what I'm used to. I believe the first 2 rounds, he only hit 50% of the greens. So I am a little concerned, and we've talked about this before with him. His putting is so spotty. You just never know how he's going to putt, but he does miss a lot of short putts.
Yeah, that wasn't pretty. I was watching a little bit of his golf game last week, and I was just so close. Like he had the approach for the most part. It really was just finishing it off. Unless I'm off base there, but I seem to remember that. I also like sprinkling on Brennan 2 weeks after he won, right? He won 2 weeks ago, was it?
Correct, at the Rocket Mortgage.
So generally when we see these young players, and again, obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we have these young players win, they tend to fall off the week after. But the week after that, they tend to return to the form that they were in. So I really like sprinkling him to finish in the top half of the groupings. This is going to be a phenomenal tournament. Is there anybody who's maybe a sneaky DFS play, someone who might be doing better than expected, or maybe just a sprinkle on a first round leader or something like that you can offer us? I mean, the crowd isn't so big, but yeah, any kind of thoughts in that vein?
Yeah, first, I said that wrong. Brennan didn't win the Rocket. He won the Wyndham. He had a good chance at the Rocket and kind of lost it on Sunday. So I do think Brendan's going to do well because this course fits him well. He hits it long and straight. His approach play is really, really good. So like a sprinkle or a DFS play, truthfully, I kind of like Ricky Fowler this week because he looks really good the way he's swinging the ball. Last week, he lost at the last 2 holes. He was top 20 until the last 2 holes. But I saw something yesterday from Butch Harmon. If anybody knows who Butch Harmon is, to me, he's the #1 swing coach in the world. And he's been Ricky's coach off and on for, 15 years. He had a video yesterday, and he was saying that he thought Ricky has never swung the club better than he is right now. So I agree with that. I thought the last 2 or 3 weeks, his ball striking, because I saw him at the Rocket Mortgage and his swing looked fantastic.
Yeah, I had him also in DFS, most likely due to your play on him. I tend to look at all the plays that I make based off you, Sia, Mike McClure, all amazing golf handicappers, and I kind of do a consensus DFS lineup, and that's kind of how I've been approaching that. Just because if all three of you guys are on somebody, something's cooking, if you know what I mean. I guess the question here is the long-term race. Is there a bubble here? Is there any purpose on finishing higher? Like if you finish in the top 20 or top 30, is there any kind of maneuverability in the rankings, or is this just it? Is this the tournament? This is the championship. Whoever wins, wins, and whoever loses, kind of, nothing you can do. Come back next season.
Well, Moshe, that's a great question. With there only being 30 players going on to next week, I don't know if you saw it, and I wish I could remember exactly where it is. They have like something like a sheet saying like if a player's in 40th right now, he has to finish like a solo 8th or something to get into the top 30. But truthfully, there's probably not going to be a lot of movement. I mean, I could say maybe 2 guys moving in and out of the top 30 for next week. And truthfully, the guys that are already going for next week, it really doesn't matter at all. I mean, the only thing that matters is money. But otherwise, it doesn't matter because, like you said at the beginning, they're not starting out with so many strokes like in the past. So next week, everybody's starting from scratch.
Fascinating. Yeah, the whole tournament, I'm still getting used to how everything plays year in, year out. I get confused because I've been watching for a few years and I kind of take pieces of information that may no longer be true as the PGA Tour evolves, which is always a fascinating topic of conversation. Maybe we could get into that later or next week in terms of what's happening with the LIV versus the PGA. I heard maybe rumors of a merger and maybe not a merger. I don't know. There's like all TV deals going on. There's so many. You know what? If you can just give me like 1 minute, if you do, no pressure if you don't, on what's happening with LIV versus PGA. There seems to be a lot of players who are leaving LIV now, coming back to the tour. Is LIV done, or are they going to like merge at some point to create like an ultimate kind of golf tournament league?
To me, I could be wrong. I'm not in on the inside here. I do not believe the PGA would ever merge with LIV. Not after what LIV did to the PGA back in the day. I do not see that happening at all. Like some players, I know Rahm's probably leaving. He's probably going to have to go back to the DP World Tour next year, play that for a year before he can come back to the PGA Tour. I got a feeling LIV's going to be gone, because they canceled Michigan next week. I don't see him, and like you said, guys are leaving already. Guys haven't been paid their whole amount. There's so many lawsuits going on with LIV. I truthfully could see LIV going into bankruptcy.
That's fascinating. I mean, we all knew that it was a very long shot to begin with. It wasn't, this was a surprise, I think, in the golf world when it came out. And it's been fascinating watching. And I think they got a TV deal with Fox. Is that possible? Because I think I've seen them on the channel every once in a while, late at night. But it is just incredible to see how that conflict has evolved, and very fascinating to see how it plays out, because there hasn't been this much controversy in golf since, I don't know, when's the last big controversy in golf?
Nothing like this that I can think of.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something and nothing came to mind. It's really kind of wild. Let's bring in Prince and or Drew if they have any questions on the tournament this week. I'm fascinated to see what kind of questions maybe Prince has for you. Prince, anything to add?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, no real questions for me. I think Brian pretty much covered everything. The only thing I will comment on is Live Golf. To what you said, they did have a TV rights with Fox that has since I believe expired. I don't think they're on Fox anymore. They're on YouTube now. So you can catch all the live tournaments on YouTube. But I've watched it a little bit. From what I've seen and from what I've heard, it's crumbling. It's falling apart, and it's pretty close to just being extinct altogether. So everything that I'm hearing from the live golf world is that they're struggling financially, and it's just it's pretty close to just collapsing altogether. So I think Brian would know more about this than me, but I don't think there's any way that they would merge. Not to mention just because for the obvious reasons, but just financially, there's no reason for them to merge when Live is basically on its last leg. So I think they're probably on their way out. So we'll see what that does to golf in general. I don't think it's really gonna have an impact, honestly. The PGA is pretty much a behemoth in comparison to Live, and that's why you don't take on an establishment that's been around for over 100 years. It's you're gonna struggle to try to break ground there. So, but yeah, other than that, no real questions for me. Great breakdown, great information as always, and greatly appreciated.
All right, so I do have a play. I think it's going off in 15 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, we have 40 minutes until the game goes off. So I do want to get to baseball very soon and then F1 after that. But Brian, opening it up to you, any tendencies that we should be looking out for in the opening rounds, maybe early or late round one, something that we can kind of decide and see how the field is going to play, and what kind of score can we expect the winner to kind of end up at?
Well, last week I said 15 to 16 under, and Scotty killed me and shot 17 under. I'm going to say about 16 under this week. So, I mean, I think if guys shoot 3 to 4 under each round, that would be good for them. And like I've talked about the last couple of weeks, I didn't do a whole lot for tomorrow's plays because I want to give it one round because this course is basically new to every player, even some of the guys that played in 2018. The greens are new and things. They've changed some of the bunkering. So I'm kind of like in a wait and see mode after Thursday's round.
Yeah, that makes sense. And honestly, sometimes, being able to hold off, seeing what the tendencies are, how people are kind of responding to the field is definitely the smart way to go. All right, Drew, any last questions for Brian before we move on to the MLB?
No, nothing on my side. I think all of it was pretty much answered.
All right, let's jump into the MLB here. We have Happy Paul Skeens Day. Unfortunately for Paul Skeens, it's been a very rough go lately, but the man is an ace. I have a feeling that he's going to bounce back today. I have no problem backing him. I don't necessarily want to back the Pirates offense as much as I do just wanting to back Paul Skeens early, especially in the first few innings where he does tend to do his best work. Opponents, first time around the batting order, are still batting just 195 with an OPS of 639. Now, the OPS of 639 is due to basically first inning home runs. In my opinion, that's kind of where it comes out from. He'll leave a pitch out where he shouldn't. And with the decreased velocity, he isn't getting away with some of the stuff that he used to get away with in years past. So I think he is working through it, though. He is coming off a decent outing against, I think it was Miami. Let me pull it up right here. I think he went 2 earned runs over 5 innings, which again isn't the Paul Skeens that we're used to. But in terms of my bet, I have the first 3 under 2.5 at -120, and that should be more than fine to take care of here. And like I mentioned, I'm not so excited to back the Pirates. They're not doing it offensively, and I think Jackson Jobe is in a pretty good spot to kind of do away with the Pirates, at least for the first 3 innings. Yes, he is coming off a 6 earned run outing over just 3.2 innings, but he was playing Chicago White Sox, who have not been the old team of, you could just count on them to mess it up. When I'm looking at the underlying metrics, it isn't as bad as it seems. The underlying metrics aren't terrible. You're looking at basically, he's okay. He has decent control. He has a 20.5% strikeout rate, 5% walk rate. I think that the barrel and hard hit rate will come down. He tends to do better earlier in the count. So give me the first 3 under 2.5. I think this is a sharp play. Opponents are just hitting 133 the first time around the order with an OPS of 411. Those are the type of numbers that I'm looking for an early under. And again, this goes off at 12:30, 12:35, so get this in while you can. I don't mind the Pirates on the money line on the up too early promo. Or even just the run line. I took it at -1 at plus 155 or something like that last night on my premium plays. But I do expect Paul Skeens to do well today. What say you, Drew?
Yeah, I believe like the last game was like also frustrating because I remember I did the 5 strikeouts and they took him out after 65 pitches. So that's why I was concerned with the Pirates is that they like to handicap him sometimes. So hopefully they at least let him go 5. I know his outs have been going up and down at like 15.5, but I think he only had like 1 earned run because I counted an error towards somebody towards like the end of the game, which is nice. He didn't pitch terribly, and I am a fan of Jackson Jobe. Jackson Jobe is a very young, promising rookie who I think will be really good, but I don't think he's quite there yet. So I like backing Skeens as much as you can. Still, I just hope the Pirates don't decide to baby him and then pitching only 65 pitches, prepare him to pitch probably 80 to 90 this time around.
Yeah, I like that look as well. It just is something actually to keep in mind, and I'm happy you mentioned this. You can get Paul Skeens over 5.5 strikeouts at -145 right now, and I think that's a really valuable look. I'm pretty sure, I think it was Matt Snyder on Sportsline who gave that pick out this morning. I'm with him. I think Paul Skeens bounces back, and you gave the stat out last week, Drew. I think he's cleared 6 strikeouts in something like 8 of the last 9 games. Or I guess I should say 7 of the last 9 games.
Yeah, so yeah, he's had at least 5 strikeouts before the last game in 20 out of his 23 games, and I think 60 is like close to that too. I mean, 6 is close to that.
Yeah, so if you can get anywhere under -170 for the over 5.5 strikeouts, taking a person like Skeens, it's kind of like getting Scotty Scheffler at plus 650. Shout out Ryan. It just you're taking someone with an incredible amount of talent to bounce back positively. That's just it. Am I putting way too much money on this Pirates game? Probably 3 units is a lot, but I think it should pay out here. I like him a lot. All right, let me get to my second play of the day here. I'm going to take the Red Sox money line at -140, also candidate for the up too early promo. And before I forget, the last team that I would recommend for the up too early promo is the Padres. I really, really like them today against the Mets. But anyway, the Diamondbacks are at the Red Sox. Now, the Diamondbacks are having personnel issues. I don't know what's going on in that dugout, but they have fallen off the face of earth on the last few games. This is now the 3rd game in the series against the Red Sox. I believe this is the 2nd game without Ketel Marte, who just decided not to show up. Drew, I want to hear your opinion on that. But before I do, let me just get into the play. The Diamondbacks lost the first game in the series 11-1. They lost the second game last night 9-4. And the Red Sox are starting Peyton Tolle, who has been awesome at home. In the last month, his FIP is 188 and his xFIP is 0.70. And if you look at the last 2 months, the FIP to xFIP was 322 to 229. So we're seeing positive regression in the right part of the equation. He is clearly an above average pitcher. He has a under 6.5% barrel rate, 33.8% hard hit rate, with just under 28% strikeout rate and a 6.5% walk rate. These are the numbers that you are looking for from a future, if not current, ace already. The Red Sox bullpen behind them has ranked 2nd over the last month in xFIP and Sierra. And the offense also ranked 2nd over the same time period over the last month. And at home, that ranking jumps up to 1st. Arizona, on the other hand, has slightly above average offense with Marte and a slightly below average bullpen behind them. They're starting Brandon Pfaadt, which I'm definitely not pronouncing that name right. I really have to get better at that. He is having an incredible season. He is. He has given up no earned runs over his last 4 games. But over those last 4 games, my metrics say that he has been extremely lucky. The underlying metrics are mixed. Now, the 7% barrel rate to 35% hard hit rate's really good, but the strikeout rate's at 16%, and the FIP to xFIP numbers read 233 on the FIP, which is his actual pitching performance, but the expected pitching performance sits at 4, which shows extreme negative regression at some point. I think the Red Sox are the hottest team in baseball right now offensively, and I think this is a time for negative regression for Brandon Pfaadt. And if this gets to the bullpen, that's fine. I'm willing to hang it out with the Red Sox at home. Drew, any thoughts?
So yeah, it's Brandon Pfaadt. I only know that because of my wife's a big Diamondbacks fan. But when it comes to the Ketel Marte thing, from what I read, because I read about it like right away when I found out about it, because my wife talks to me about Diamondbacks sports and stuff, is that what happened is apparently Marte said he had some kind of personal issue and he didn't want to necessarily disclose it. And then Torey Lovello, the manager, was trying to reach out to him, like to support him, what's going on. There was very little coming back from him. And then Perdomo, one of the his players, spoke out like, hey, we don't know what's going on. I haven't heard from him, but we're here, we're a family, and all we care about right now is winning, but we're still worried about him at the end of the day, and we're not gonna be upset. So there's not really like hard issues, and a lot of players saying the coaching staff are handling it well. Of course, it's wrong on Marte to not disclose what's going on, but if there's anybody that I guess can get some kind of pass on something, like a slight pass, it is Ketel Marte. So hopefully he's okay, and there's not like a big family thing. But usually from when Marte has something like that, it's serious, because this is a guy that, I'm going to say this is not who Marte is. I don't know him as a person, but I've watched him a lot of his career. He's the kind of player that if he can play, he plays. He's an Iron Man. He's always been an Iron Man, rarely gets injured, and he's always there to generally play. So it seems like this is a very serious issue. He just doesn't want probably to tell his team to bring him down.
That's an interesting thought. I do tend to agree with you, but at the end of the day, when you're missing your home run and RBI leader, that is a huge gap that you need to fix now. Because if you don't fix it now, you're out. There's no coming back. If you drop a certain amount of games right now, the season's over. You need to be playing for playoff positioning. And I think the Red Sox know this, and they know what their duty is right now. Interested to see how long this winning streak can hold. Just like we had a few weeks ago, where they were just they were top dog. Clear, not even close. All right, Drew, where are you going for your baseball play today?
Yeah, the Red Sox are back at it after coming on a 4-game losing streak for that massive streak. But I'm doing one play only, and I backed this guy multiple times already. I think this is insane value. It's Sandy Alcantara on Fanatics. You can get us over 18 and a half outs at plus 125 on DK. I believe it's plus 109. We're talking about a guy who's covered this 4 out of his last 5 starts, 6 out of his last 8. And if you just look at his last 4 starts alone, when he started this, he started part of this crazy only 100-run streak. The first game was against the Phillies he's facing now. I know if you face a pitcher the second time around, you usually do better, but that was about a few weeks ago. So I expect him to do the same. If you look at in general his metrics, his last 4 starts, he's only has a 2.1% barrel rate. Basically he's only allowed 1 barreled ball in his last 4 starts. He has an above 50% ground ball rate as well, and he has a 29% hard hit rate, and I think league average is around like 36%. He's been absolutely electric. His last start, he did have 4 walks, but he still went 7 innings. And his changeup right now has a 36% whiff rate in the last 4 games. So I've been very impressed with him. I think this is great value for their workhorse, who's been lighting up, every single person, every single team he's faced especially the last 4 games, and he's had like 1 bad game, 6 out of the last 8 starts. Oh, and that 1 bad game, he gave up 5 earned runs, and they still let him go 7 innings. So I think to get Sandy at plus money at over 18.5 is something I am willing to back.
Yeah, I don't mind this look at all. I think it is a little bit of a stretch because the Phillies are so hot. If you wanted to take somebody on the Phillies side just to kind of hedge a little bit, I don't mind Luis Arraez on hits, runs, RBIs. Shout out, who was it that gave that pick? I know somebody gave that pick out this morning that I follow. Matty Ice. That's who it was. Matty Ice. Shout out to Matty Ice. Hopefully we will get him on our show at some point. He is a phenomenal capper. I'll try to repost or tweet something out in his name so you guys can follow him. But he links Luis Ariz, hits, runs, RBIs. I link that as well. But to your point, Sandy Alcantara has been a workhorse. I know people who are playing fantasy baseball somehow, for some reason. I don't know why. I don't have time for it. I don't play fantasy baseball, I should say, yet. But in certain of those leagues where innings gone counts for a lot of points, he has been one of the most valuable pitchers in all of baseball this year. It's going to be very interesting to see if he remains with the Marlins long term. It looks like they're trying to keep him. He was one of the biggest trade deadline rumors going around. So plus money, I'm in, buddy. I am in. All right, Prince, any thoughts on the MLB slate today before hopefully we bring in our main man, Addison, to talk F1?
No, nothing for me in the major leagues. Just got WNBA and soccer picks for me today.
Sounds good. All right, I just wanted to give out maybe a few no-run first inning plays to make up for some of the leans that I've had lately. Some of these games that I'm looking at, Blue Jays, Rays, no run first inning, you can get that at -112. I think that's a really solid look. The Yankees, Orioles, again, you can get that at even money, +100. I thought that offered really good value. And then I expect, well, I guess negative regression in first inning runs in the Mariners Brewers game. I have an additional 5 or 6 no run first inning plays if you're interested to follow my premium channel. But those are 3 games that I'm looking at that I have probably a higher confidence on. Padres Mets also. I think I'm also really high on no run first innings in that game, just to give you guys a little bit of a thought process on how I'm going about today. And then, of course, looking forward to seeing the White Sox Cubs game. To be fair, there was a rain delay in like the 7th inning, which completely killed the offensive output in that game. But before that, it was very much trending to the over. Last night was the first time that these two teams facing each other this year didn't go over. So I kind of like them to go over today. Going to be something I'm looking for. I think we have really good hitting weather. Prince, correct me if I'm wrong, right? It's pretty good hitting weather over there in Chicago today.
Yeah, it's pretty humid. I just stepped outside here. It's we got about 90% humidity out here. So yeah, the ball should be traveling.
Yikes. That sucks for everybody living there. But for baseball, it's great. It really is. And then, like I mentioned, the up early promo. I recommend the Pirates if you can get in on that one. Padres is another good one. And I'm forgetting the third team that I had mentioned currently, but there's some good options on the slate today. All right, Addison. Let's talk F1, and then we'll follow up with the WNBA and soccer.
Hey, okay. How you guys doing today?
Oh, we're fantastic, man. Thank you for joining us.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Good stuff by Brian, by the way. Always enjoy listening to him on the show. He's just super knowledgeable on the golf, which is something I dabble in from time to time, but having an expert like that it's really cool. Looking to this weekend in Netherlands. Yes, Prince, you got that right. We have some breaking news all over the board. I don't know where to start, so I'll just pick something at random. The Williams drivers have both re-signed for next year. So Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon will be driving for Williams next year. I hope Williams can really pull it together because I'm a Carlos Sainz fan, having been a former Ferrari driver and just an overall great guy, really funny guy. I hope that they do better for him. Alpine are bringing a pretty major upgrade package to Zandvoort this week. So look for them to hopefully regain some form that they seem to really have lost in the last 5 or 6 races. They were really good, it seemed, at the start of the season, and they just kind of fell off. Aston Martin, they are bringing a new power unit. I'm not sure what the ramifications are as far as grid penalty for this, but they are bringing the new Honda engine. So they look to extend the success that they had before the break in Budapest. So look for them to excel or crash and burn in spectacular fashion. One of the two. Okay, so here's the relevant news to our bets. Isaac Hadjar, who is the Red Bull racer, Max Verstappen's teammate, it has come to light that over the summer break, or maybe sometime recently, he injured his wrist in a training exercise. He will miss this weekend's race. And why does that affect our bet? Well, that is because Liam Lawson, who is our Racing Bulls driver, the sister team for Red Bull, is going to be replacing him at Red Bull. So Max Verstappen and Liam Lawson will be in the primary Red Bull cars. For Racing Bulls, Arvid Lindblad will be holding it down as usual. And they're bringing in reserve driver Yuki Tsunoda, who I am not a fan of. I don't like him as a person. I don't like him as a driver. So that bet that we have for the sprint qualifying, the winning car without Racing Bulls, is not looking as good as it was. I still feel decent about it at the price that we got it of plus 130. Again, I think that what we have going in our favor is that there's only one practice session before the sprint qualifying, the sprint shootout. So even with these teams with the new upgrades, they're not going to have a lot of time to really tool around. So I still feel good about our bet, but I would say that for the rest of the weekend, I would look to fade Racing Bulls, or at least look more towards the other midfield cars like Audi, Alpine, and gosh, maybe even Aston Martin. I don't know. I just think while this is a bummer for our bet, my number one thing with sports betting is to always have fun, and I love F1, and I think that this shakeup, I don't want to see people get injured, but I think this adds so much more excitement to this weekend. You know, coming back from the long break, some tight races. Now we're having some drivers switch places, major upgrades brought new power units. I think this is going to be a great weekend. So definitely strap in and don't miss all the action going on at Zandvoort Circuit.
Pun intended.
I just wanted to no, very, very much intended. Yes. One more thing that's kind of weird is that this is the second time that Liam Lawson has replaced a driver at Zandvoort due to a wrist injury. In 2023, he made his F1 debut when Daniel Ricciardo injured his wrist during a crash in practice. He did pretty well that week. I think he finished 13th in the AlphaTauri, which is basically now the Racing Bulls team. So it's just a big coincidence that this is happening again, where Liam Lawson is, he got his F1 debut because Ricciardo broke his wrist, and now he's going to get another chance in a Red Bull seat because Hadjar had an injury. So, I wish the best for Hadjar in his recovery. It's possible he's going to be out for, this race at least, maybe even Monza in a couple of weeks. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. And the other bummer is that Hadjar last year had one of his greatest races ever at Zandvoort. He finished third. He finished on the podium in just a really crazy race. And I've really enjoyed Hadjar's performance this year in the Red Bull. I think he's a great guy. So it's just a bummer to see him be injured on a track that he did so well at last year. But I think looking forward, as I said, from a betting perspective, I'm going to possibly fade the Racing Bulls now that Yuki's in there. I'm going to look at probably the Racing Bulls to not have both drivers classified. I don't think they're going to want to run any risk of taking any major damage or running any components into the ground with their reserve driver, Yuki Tsunoda. I think that if they have any sort of issues pop up during the race, that they very well could just retire the car and eat their loss and hope that, Lawson is back in the Racing Bull seat for the next race. So that's the F1 update. Thanks for having me on.
I very much appreciate it. So just to clarify, no actual new bets, just a little bit of hesitation on our old ones. Or are we fading Red Bull specifically?
Yeah, no new bets. Because of this shakeup, I haven't bet anything new. It does, like you said, yeah, just put our Racing Bulls winning without bet a little more towards the difficult side. However, the books did basically quite a few of them just strip down their entire F1 pages, and they're slowly building them back up. So, if you have some spare minute today and you just want to look around at all the books and all the prices, you may find some discrepancies as these books rebuild their portfolio for the weekend.
Well, you know how much we like arbitrage, so definitely keep us posted, and I'll try to run that little algorithm if I can from my personal app when I can. We did have an idea, by the way, to have arbitrage Tuesdays. I talked about it in our little group chat over there, but it's really hard to find value that maintains its consistency and value for more than a few hours. Once those lines kind of come out, people jump on them and they move quickly. But I will definitely try to bring those to the show more often than I can or have been. Addison, any last thoughts on F1 before we get to Prince and the WNBA?
No, thanks again for having me on, and I'll keep my ear to the ground, and any more updates or any more plays, I'll let you guys know and hop back in. Have a great day.
Thanks, brother. I really appreciate it. You have added a lot to our show, and yeah, we look forward to continuing it forward in the future. All right, Prince, you're up. What do you got for us?
All right, guys. Let's look at the WNBA tonight. We got a small 2-game slate here, but one game I'm looking at in particular is going to be the 7:30 p.m. Eastern tip-off, where we do have the Toronto Tempo heading to Washington to take on the Mystics. I'm on the under in this one. I'm going to take the under. Let's see here. Under one. Sorry, I had to pull up here. Under 170.5. You're going to get that minus 108. Looking at the Mystics, they're one of the better defensive teams in the W, but they're also one of the lower scoring teams. So their games in general tend to go under. We're looking at the tempo. This is going to be a tempo team on a back-to-back, having played in Toronto last night, now having to travel to Washington. Not a far travel, but still traveling up here, especially on a back-to-back. This is a Toronto team that has lost 11 straight in 15 of their last 16. So absolutely going in the wrong direction. If you want to take the Mystics on the money line as a parlay piece, it's probably a pretty solid play. I personally, I'm trying to stay away from parlays in the W for now. So for me, I'm just going to play this one straight up. Give me the Tempo Mystics under 170.5. That comes in at minus 108. Any thoughts for you on that, Mosh, before we head over to soccer?
Nope. I'm on board. You've been on fire with these totals in the WNBA, and there's a few boosts to use on Bet Rivers and MGM if you're so inclined. I am.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Always check your books for boosts and promos and stuff like that. Usually pretty good promos for the W on these various books. All right, let's head over to the pitch. We've got some action. Excuse me. Let me clear my throat for a sec. Sorry, guys. All right. We're looking at La Liga. La Liga kicking off this afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern. We've got Atletico Madrid hosting Mayaga. Mayaga, a team that has been newly promoted from the second division, La Liga 2. So this is going to be their first game in La Liga for this season. Atletico Madrid, one of the top dogs in La Liga, of course, always a top 3 team, traditionally year in and year out. I think that continues again this season. I do expect Real Madrid, we put the futures on them to win this league, so I am expecting Real to finish first, Barcelona to finish second, but I do think Atletico Madrid will finish third in this league. We did put a futures bet on them earlier on Atletico Madrid to win the league without Real Madrid and Barcelona. So we're backing that. And I think they get off to a good start here against Mayaga at home. So give me Atletico Madrid on the money line, but we're gonna play under 3.5 goals parlayed with this. I'm I tend to think that Atletico Madrid might go back to their defensive roots this season. They tried going all out over the last couple of years. They haven't had much success, specifically in Europe. And so Diego Simeone, head coach, manager of Atletico Madrid, his roots are on the defensive side. He tried changing his technique and his strategy, going more offensive, but the results just haven't been there to where they will have hope. Have their games been more entertaining? Absolutely. But from what I've heard, some reports coming out is that they might tend to go back a little bit more defensive this season. Maybe not play so gung ho on the way they did last season. So you could see some lower scoring games. I think Mayaga is going to struggle to score in this one. I can see them getting one goal at most. But I'm not so sure if Atletico is going to really push the gas in this one as well. So give me Atletico Madrid straight up on the money line, but we'll parlay it with under 3.5 goals, and that comes in at minus 115.
By the way, shout out, MGM
Yep.
has this at plus 115.
Oh wow, there you go. Even better. Yeah, I got this last night, so it's possible the price has changed a lot. Always check your book, guys.
So I want to say that FanDuel is always the first place that I look for same game parlays. They always have probably the best real value compared to the books. MGM doesn't always offer same game parlays, but when they do, you usually get a more advantageous line than you do the other ones. So my first look is always I guess my first look is always MGM to see what the price is. Then I compare it against FanDuel, and then I'll kind of check around a little bit if I have some time. But definitely recommend it, especially on those like first 5 innings in the MLB, first 5 parlayed with the full game money lines. MGM definitely has the best lines over there. And I've noticed a lot of correlated same game parlays are usually the best lines there.
Absolutely. All right, and then keeping it moving here, we'll go to the Major League Soccer tonight. We do have a full 15-game slate. All 30 MLS teams are in action tonight, so nice little midweek full MLS slate here for us on this Wednesday night. We could pick a number of games for the show purposes. I'm just going to pick one if you guys want the rest. I do have a pick for each and every one of the 15 games over on my VIP channel. Again, you guys can follow me over on X at PrinceofX10. There's a pinned post on that profile with details on how to join the VIP channel. But here, nevertheless, let's look at the one game we're going to cover on the show. It's going to be the Colorado Rapids hosting LAFC. Colorado has been a house of horrors for LAFC, winless in 7 straight at Colorado. For whatever reason, they just cannot get a result when heading to Colorado. Just something about maybe it's the altitude. I'm not sure what it is, but LAFC traditionally just really, really struggle. No matter how good or bad Colorado is, it's just one of those bugaboo teams that you just, anytime they match up in Colorado, you got to back Colorado on this one. So I'm going to take Colorado Rapids on a draw no bet. We're going to get to the minus 120 in case we get a draw, which has happened before, head-to-head between these two sides in Colorado. We'll get our money back, but if they get the win here, we'll get it at a nice playable value at minus 120. So give me Colorado in what has been a very difficult matchup for LAFC on a draw no bet here, minus 120. And that's going to do it for me. I do have a futures play, and I also see that Michael has requested to speak, and I have a question for Michael as well. So got a little bit of a domino effect here. Stern, let me go to you first. Any thoughts on my MLS play before I go to Michael?
Well, I like leaky defenses, and this game features 2 leaky defenses. So yeah, I'm on board. What's not to like?
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. And then Michael, thanks for joining us. I see you requested to speak. I do have a question for you, but first I'm interested. Any thoughts on anything for today's show?
I just have a question for Stern about Paul Skeens. I played him, did give up over 1.5 runs. Thoughts on that? And that was pretty much it.
I actually love it. I do. I do like it. I like it as a hedge against the under 2.5 runs in the first 3 innings, and I like it as a hedge on the over 5.5 strikeouts. I really do think that we're going to see one of 2 versions. I don't necessarily think we're going to get contact happy Paul Skeens that we've seen in the last game or 2. I really do like him to bounce back. And if he doesn't, he's going to give up 2 runs. 2 runs for a starting pitcher who is likely to go 5 or 6 innings, most likely. I would assume that he goes the full 6 innings at least. 2 runs is a very low number against a team that can hit. So yeah, I don't mind that look at all. I was actually considering bringing it onto my premium channel just to give a little bit of a hedge because I have so much money betting on Paul Skeens. So yeah, I think that's a fantastic look, and I think Matty Ice also gave that play out, and I very much respect his opinion. And anything that he plays, I personally play as well.
Cool. That's all I got.
Yeah,
Okay, and
that's
then
an excellent question.
yeah, and then Michael, since we have you on here, I have to ask you, of course, as your
Sporting Kansas
Celtic.
City.
Not them. We're out on them. If you take them on the money line, God bless you. No, we're talking about Celtic. Your Celtic team is in action today in the Champions League qualifying. They're going to be hosting Lask from the Austrian Bundesliga. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the exact same stage that Celtic failed last season. This was where they lost to Kairat Almaty. I think it was 2-0 draws. They ended up losing in a penalty shootout, which eliminated them from the Champions League proper, the big table. Any thoughts from you on your Celtic hosting Lask today? This one's in Celtic, right? I believe Celtic is the home team.
It's home.
Yeah. Any thoughts for you on this one?
I just say both teams to score, but we've looked really good in the past, like 3, 4, 5 matches. So hopefully we score a lot today. But I can easily see both teams to score, cashing.
Yeah, that is a pretty regular theme with Celtics games. Both teams have scored. They are off to a pretty good start this season. 2-0, 6 goals scored, and just one again. So, yeah, cool. Yeah, just curious if you had any thoughts, any insights or anything on that. But if not, no worries. We'll just watch the game here and see what happens. Hopefully, for your sake, Celtic wins. But any final thoughts on this game or?
No, that's pretty much it. Just
cool.
Hopefully the boys continue their form today.
Yeah.
So that'd be nice.
Yep, it'd be nice to see Celtic in the Champions League proper. It's been a couple of seasons, if I'm not mistaken, since they've been in there. I know they missed it. They missed last year, and so all right, cool. That's all I got for you. So appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and keep it moving here. And let's go ahead and get to my futures play. Again, we're going to come up with a futures play here for the English Premier League as we are kicking off the season in just a couple days. I believe Friday, if I'm not mistaken, is the first game. It's either Friday or Saturday. Usually they kick off on Friday. Arsenal Coventry is going to be the kickoff. So your EPL futures play of the day. We're going to look at the bottom of the table here. We're looking at this particular team to finish at the very bottom of the EPL table, last place. We're looking at Hull City. Hull City to finish bottom of the EPL table. Shop around, you get a plus 100, maybe some books might give you a little bit better value. But we're looking at Hull City. This team, quite frankly, is a little bit lucky to be here right now. They finished 6th place in the championship division last season, which is the cutoff for making the playoffs. But in the playoffs, they played, of course, the 3rd seed. They barely beat them. And then they kind of got a little bit lucky with what happened with Southampton. Those of you who are not familiar, Southampton basically had a Patriots Spygate situation. You guys are familiar with the New England Patriots Spygate, of course. Similar concept here. Apparently, they were spying on practices of their opponent. They got caught. They admitted to it, and they got eliminated. This was a team that was heavily favored to get promoted to the Premier League. So with them getting eliminated, Hull City ended up playing basically the 5th place team, Middlesbrough, to get to the Premier League, whereas they would have had to play Southampton. But because of what happened with them, they got to play Middlesbrough instead, so they got a little lucky there. They scored in the 96th minute. Got a 1-0 squeaked by Middlesbrough to get promoted to the Premier League. So this team kind of had everything lined up for them to get to the Premier League. But looking at this roster, they really haven't done much business in the offseason. A lot of analysts are projecting this could be potentially one of the worst teams to ever play in the English Premier League. And so I think us getting them at plus money to finish bottom of the table is an absolute steal. You probably are not going to get this price maybe in a week, maybe after this first game, which I believe they're playing against Manchester United to open up the season. So get it while you can. Get it at plus money while you can. This team is not going to be very good. They just don't have the talent to compete in the EPL. So unless they do some miraculous unseen business, this team is just going to be probably fighting at the very bottom of the table. So I think there's a lot of value here. Hull City to finish bottom of the EPL table at plus 100.
I've got to ask, did you give that play out on your premium channel already? Did I already play this, or should I be betting this again?
Well, I know you like to bet things twice. So if you want to bet it twice, go for it. But I did give it out on the premium already.
All right, yeah, because I'm trying not to repeat that mistake, especially on future tickets where you have to hold the money for so long. It's generally
Hey,
a downgrade.
hold on. Hey, but it's only a mistake if it loses, right?
That is true.
Ah.
It really isn't about the play. It's about the value of holding on to that much money for such a long time. That's what it is for me. Not that I'm not playing everything. I just didn't want to necessarily bet it twice unnecessarily.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
Unless I'm betting everything twice. In that case, it's all good.
In that case, you might as well just increase your unit size instead of betting it twice.
So I know that we are past the hour, but I do have one more play for the show. Hopefully I can get Drew's opinion on this. I don't know if he's had time to look at this upcoming UFC matchup here. We do have quite the fight night. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I just lost my place, so that's always fun. But yeah, we're looking at a matchup. Well, the fight is Hernandez versus Rodriguez, which is a fascinating fight in and of itself. I think people are projecting that to go under, someone to get knocked out there. I'm going to go with a little bit of plus money down the card. Shamil Gaziev versus Kennedy Njoku. I like Njoku here. You can get him at plus 120 over on DK. I took this last night. This matchup is basically a sweat of an over. And what I mean by that is we have two heavyweights here who can easily knock each other out. I think Gaziev is definitely the more dangerous fighter early in this matchup. But as the matchup gets past the first half a round or first round, Kenny Njoku should be able to pull it off. He is extremely lanky, large reach, towering body. He has a 6'5" frame with an 83-inch reach. The numbers aren't even close compared to Gaziev. So Gaziev is really going to have to press forward, destroy his cardio, trying to get the early knockout. I don't necessarily think he does. Kennedy Njoku has been able to show us that he is able to maintain distance management using lateral footwork to kind of get around the big hits early. And I think as the fight goes on, the odds that Kennedy is able to get it done gets more and more and more. He's really going to have to take his takedown defense to another level if Gaziev starts to get exhausted and starts to try to mix in takedowns to see if he can get Kennedy leaning forward to try to get his chin out there. But I just think that the longer this match goes, I think Kennedy has the advantage. I also don't mind waiting until about the first half a round to try to bet live. I think you can get a number closer to plus 200. But I'm going to take it pre matchup. I like him a lot. Drew, any thoughts on this before we get to our recap? I think we're going to skip the question of the day just because we've gone so long. Although, if you guys have one, please feel free to bring it.
Yeah, for this fight, is your play that you have Kennedy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the best overall, from just looking at this fight in general, because this was a fight I was interested in, someone's going to get knocked out. But both fights have shown like submission parts. But like I think since Giev has been in the UFC, I think he's only had one where it wasn't like a knockout. He's only fought like 5 or 6 UFC actual fights. In that case, but I like that with Kennedy. I think someone's gonna get knocked out. I don't see this fight going to the third round at all. It may end in the first round or it may end in the beginning of the second round. It's gonna be a fun fight to watch.
Yes, it will be. I mean, anytime you have heavyweights going at each other, they just have so much power that it's hard to maintain that through 2 or 3 rounds of heavy hitting.
And refs should call it early too for these heavyweight purposes, so no one gets severely like injured. Because these guys are a lot stronger, so if they see someone wobbling and falling to the ground, they usually don't let them continue because they don't want someone to possibly get killed.
Yeah, 100%. Also, if you saw the fights last night, we had some really good ones here. Unfortunately, I only went 1 for 2, but the Ali Lorenz fight, it got into the second round, and then Ali just knocked him out. I've got to say, Dana White's Contender Series has been way more entertaining and competitive than I seem to remember it, and I've been really enjoying watching those fights, especially because we get fights in the middle of the week, which is awesome. All right, question of the day, Prince, or should we just get to the recap?
We're already on the 15 minutes after. If we probably just go to the recap, if that's okay with you. But real quick, before we do that, I do have a live bet alert. If you guys want to get this in real quick, Denmark Cup, DBU, Pokelen, might be calling some of your books. ASA Aarhus taking on Randers. We're in the 35th minute, but let's see if we can get a first half goal here before the first half ends. You can get that plus money, plus 100. We got about 10 plus minutes left in this first half. So quarter unit sprinkle. Aarhus, Randers, Denmark Cup, first half goal plus 100.
Love it. Internet's not quite working right now, but I will get that in as soon as I can. All right, Brian, why don't you recap us with your best bets, and then we'll go around the horn.
All right, Moshe, for the BMW winner, I like Scotty at plus 305. I have a winner without Scotty, Xander Schauffele at plus 1375. I have a top 20 in ties, Jake Knapp at minus 110. Then I have a couple fun plays. I've got a top 20 in ties parlay. I have Hideki Matsuyama and Michael Thorbjornsen at plus 210. And then I also have a top 30 in ties parlay. I have Justin Rose and Alex Noren. And then for Thursday, first round, I have 2-ball matchups. I have Michael Brennan over Eric Cole minus 142, tee off 12:18 p.m. And then I have Ricky Fowler over Robert McIntyre minus 122 at 1:09 p.m.
Wow, gotta love that. I'm very much looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be fascinating, good, hard, heavy golf. All right, Drew, recap us with your best bet, buddy.
I have Sandy Alcantara over 18.5 outs at plus 125.
Gotta love that plus money. I'm on the Tigers' first 3 under 2.5. The game has already gone off. If anybody has an update, minus 120. I have the Red Sox money line minus 140. And then in the UFC this Saturday night, Kennedy Njoku money line plus 120, half a unit. All right, Prince, close us out.
All right, guys, looking at the La Liga kicking off this afternoon. Give me Atletico Madrid on the money line plus under 3.5 goals. Comes in at minus 115. Looking at Major League Soccer, MLS tonight. Give me the Colorado Rapids. Draw no bet minus 120 hosting LAFC. In the WNBA tonight, give me the Toronto Tempo. Washington Mystics under 170.5. That one comes in at minus 108. And your EPL, English Premier League futures play of the day. We're looking at Hull City to finish very bottom of the EPL table, and that comes in at plus 100. And that's going to do it for us today, guys. This has been the Only Bet Sports Podcast Wednesday edition with Stern Bet Drew DeLucchi. I'm the Prince of Pigs. Shout out to Addison for his fantastic Formula One F1 information. As always, Brian Liberati coming through on his Liberati Wednesdays. Let's see how we do in this PGA Tour. Coming up with the BMW Championship. Excited to get into it and all the other sports here. We'll be back again live tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday at Only Bets Podcast over on Twitter/X. Have a great afternoon. Let's catch out these tickets, and we will talk to you all tomorrow. Thanks.